Hi, boys and girls. Hi, families. I was just kind of taking a look at your future math lessons and noticed that headed into Module 5, there are a couple of tough vocab terms. So I thought I would just make a quick PowerPoint screencast just to kind of go over some of those. And to, of course, say hello. I miss you guys. The first word that I noticed in Module 5 that is a little bit tricky is called attribute. An attribute is nothing more than a characteristic or a word that you might use to describe something else. So, for example, an attribute of this square might be that it is a four-sided shape. So there's one, two, three, four sides. An attribute to this triangle might be that it has three corners, one, two, three. So they're just kind of words that help describe something else. So when you hear that big word attribute, you actually already know what it means, just describing words. The second term that I did find maybe some might have a little bit of a tough time with are composite shapes. So we are going to be headed into some geometry in this module. Composite shapes are nothing more than shapes that are made from other shapes. So for example, if you take a look at this picture, I know these are some fun pictures made with pattern blocks. If you take a look over here, this composite shape of the sun was made up of diamonds or rhombuses, squares, and hexagons. So it's simply when you take other shapes and you put them together to make a new shape. So kind of fun, actually. If you have some blocks at home, you could try some of these examples. Another term, a two-dimensional shape. I'm sure that we've all heard this one before, but just as a reminder, these are our flat shapes, so that lay flat on our papers. They're measured by their length and width only. Another term is three-dimensional. So these are the shapes that I like to kind of consider popping off the page. When we draw them, they actually look like they're coming out at us. But when we have them in real life, like an ice cream cone, they're the ones that do not lay flat if you were to set them down. They have the ability to move or to rotate. Rotate is a fancy word for spin. So those are our 3D shapes. You're going to hear about those in lessons kind of 4 through 6. We're going to be working a little bit more with those. Another word, another word that might be a little bit tricky are equal parts. So when we say the word equal, we're talking about the same amount or the same picture. This example is actually right from the module problem set from lesson 7. Letter A is split into 2 equal parts. You can kind of see that in the picture. We have the same amount on both halves or sides. Picture B does not have equal parts. It's not split evenly. And letter C does not have equal parts. It is not split evenly. Another term that you're going to run into is partition. So again, partition is just a fancy word for splitting or breaking apart. The first example, if I were to say this square is partitioned, it's split into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. The bottom picture, this square is partitioned into 2 equal parts or halves. So at the bottom here, I know I'll move myself, you can kind of see that I added 2 vocabulary words, halves and quarters. You're going to be hearing those in lesson 8 quite a bit. So if you're hearing the word half, that means that a shape is cut into 2 equal parts. Quarters, a shape is cut into 4 equal parts. When you are working with quarters, boys and girls, you might also see this word fourths. So just know that fourths and quarters are talking about the same equal partition. And halves are talking about 2 equal parts. So just a couple of tricky terms that I thought I would kind of put together for you guys. Miss Glenn and I actually did. Moving on to slide 8, you can kind of see we're going to start talking about time. Move myself again. So time to the hour is in lesson 10. So when we're talking about time to the hour, we're talking about the little hand pointing to a number. You can kind of see in the picture here. And then the bigger hand or the longer hand is going to be pointing to the 12. When we're talking about time to the hour, we're talking about 60 minutes of time. So I gave a couple of examples here, and you can pause me at any time to kind of read, go over, use the screencast how you need to. But I hope that these little visuals help. These 2 examples up here are actually right from the module. So time to the hour, we're talking about 60 minutes, and we're going to hear that term o'clock quite a bit. The last term in the module that I thought we might need just a little bit of review is time to the half hour. When we talk about time to the half hour, we talk about the minute hand, and the minute hand is moving in half amounts. So we're half moving around the clock from the 12 to the 6.